Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up at the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. It's Wednesday, live from Austin, Texas. Come on now. It's winning on Wednesday. I'm here as always. Got my buddy, the king of Facebook groups, Joe Campert, always in the house. And we got a superstar guest coming up for you guys today. Can't wait to introduce him.
I'm freaking excited. I'm hyped, dude. I got here to the office at before 7 a.m. So I've had 5 freaking cups of coffee already. So guys, I am freaking hype. It's been amazing, man. I'm super. This week has been a little crazy for me, as you know. But man, I think it was crazy. My weekly win last week was modern medicine, right? And so some of y'all don't know. Actually, none of y'all know that Nora. So Nora. Almost year to date, it's crazy. Last New Year's Eve, we ended up having to take her to the hospital, and she was there for a week with RSV, rhinovirus, fever, all this stuff. Well, she got it again. So on Sunday night, Maria ended up having to take her in. And so thank God she came home yesterday. She's hydrated, she's drinking, so she's good, but was just battling RSV for a couple of days again. But it was crazy because last week I was talking about modern medicine. And again, just being able to take a negative, and it's scary. Obviously, anybody that has kids, like when they're plugged up to the IV and stuff like that, but shifting that into a positive where it's like, dude, I woke up this morning at 4:45, gave her a bottle. She chugged it, dude. I'm hype. I hit the gym. I'm in the office. Let's go. Thank the Lord she's all right. And thank you for freaking modern medicine, baby. It's winning on Wednesday. I'm hyped, man.
Let's go.
Can you tell I've been drinking coffee?
Yeah, apparently. Maybe you want to look at decaf. Maybe after that second cup, just switch to decaf, and they're going to tone it down a little. I'm off coffee.
How are you doing,
I haven't
sir?
had coffee in, I guess, 4 months now. September 1st. Yeah, September 1st was my last day, and I'm off the coffee. No more coffee for me. It's out.
I'm all about it, baby.
Tea and water now.
What's your week been like? How we doing?
It's cold. It's damn cold, and it's going to get colder. It's been outstanding. Come on, man. We got too much stuff going on. It's hard not to have a weekly win right now because things are moving so fast for you and I with everything we're doing with the podcast, the new office, stuff happening around here. So if I were to pick any one thing, I was thinking about it actually last night, and so I'll go ahead and say it today. I was supposed to say it for our first year anniversary, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, we're almost a year in episodes on this show without missing a single week.
Right.
I don't remember exactly. I think our anniversary is something like January 10th or something.
I'll have to look. I'll have to go back there and look. Yep.
Especially going back to what you just said, because we were supposed to launch the show on the first week of January last year. But Nora got sick, and we're like, well, let's just put it off a week. No problem. No stress. Nobody's going to care if we put it off a week because we don't have a show out yet. But I was thinking about it last night. It's like, man, we're approaching 52 straight weeks, not a single episode missed. There's been a couple episodes I haven't been there. It's been one or two that you haven't been there, but we have always had an episode. That is awesome. And I can't wait to get our annual anniversary guest on the show.
It's in the works.
We're not saying going after.
We're not saying anything other than it's in the works, and I'm hopping on a call later this afternoon. That's all we're gonna say. And real quick, y'all too, make sure and hit the link. It's in the description. It's just to allow StreamYard to view your Facebook comments just like this so we can get you up here on the show. Good morning, Grace. Hey, Grace is on every single show too. She's just alongside with Ryan England. Good morning, Ryan. You guys are just on every show, man. I love it. Thank you all so much for the support. And really, going back to what Tony said, we have an amazing guest. I just recently got to meet him. It's funny. I actually had met multiple of his team members before I met him. And it was like perfect because I was like, yo, this dude, okay, if this is your team member, but I was so impressed with Caleb. I got to fly around on the jet with him and Cody Askins and crew. And I was like, this dude is a stone cold killer. Well, it's like, guess who taught him the ropes? Freaking Joe. And hey, guys, it's not Basso. It's Joe Basso, baby. What's going on, Joe?
Yo, what's up, guys? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for joining us.
I'm excited to be here. You guys are
awesome.
You guys are phenomenal. I watch some of your stuff, and I'm honored to be a part of the team today.
Yeah, well, we are happy to have you here, man. I enjoyed getting to meet you a couple of weeks ago down in San Antonio for the first time and hear you speak. That was outstanding. So, and you're obviously on some pretty amazing runs, growing very rapidly. So we're going to dive into some of that today.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah. So real quick, give us a weekly win, and then this is my new first favorite question: weekly win, and then what was your first job?
All right, weekly win. All right, this is a big one for me. We're gonna get personal here. I've got a 3.5-year-old son, and Joseph the third. We call him JB3.
Come on.
And my little guy has Asperger's, which you might not be familiar with. Some folks would be. It's on the autism spectrum. And he is just, comparing last year to this year, he's just made so much progress. He's got an incredible speech therapist. And,
awesome.
Last year he was barely talking. This year we can't get him to shut up, which is the best thing. And so just last night, my wife and I were just sitting there going through videos, as all parents do, first-time parents do, and looking at last year and then just seeing how far God has, taken him in the last 12 months. That's a huge win. And I'm
amazing.
Just grateful. Yeah.
Amazing, man. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. And come on, man. It's winning on Wednesday, y'all. I freaking love this dude. And thank you for instantly coming out and just being freaking vulnerable and personal, man, because that's what this is all about. And so actually, before we get into the first job, who's Joe Basso? I skipped that part. Let him know. Give us a quick little 30,000-foot overview.
30,000-foot overview. Dude, at my heart, I'm an entrepreneur in every sense of the word. I figured that out, and this ties into my first job. So there you go. I figured it out really early in life. I was 12 and kind of started my first unofficial business, bro. If the IRS is listening, we're not going to call it business. It was a hobby. But started a lawn care company and went door to door, bro. And I think I had like 25, 30 clients every summer from like I was 12 to 20, paid my entire way through college on here. And I got the bug, dude, at 12. I was like, bro, I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life, but I know that I don't want a boss. I know that. And yeah, dude, I think over the years, man, I've just really fallen in love with working with people. So if you ask me who is Joe Basso, I'm someone that loves working with people, bro. I like every part of it. I like the good, the bad, the ugly. And that is my life. And every day, every way, shape, and form, I'm working with others.
So so let's stay there with lawn care. So you paid your way all the way through college, right? What'd you go to college for? I'm curious.
Yeah, people always laugh. I have my degree in pastoral theology. I thought for a long time that I was going to be a full-time pastor, and so yeah, man, I busted out that theology degree, and it was a great time. I met my wife at Bible college, went to a small Christian college.
Okay.
And, incredible friends. Matter of fact, a lot of our life insurance agency, I'm sure we'll get to that later. Dude, I think we have like 35 or 40, agents/managers, all from that same college circle that we just
awesome.
Stayed in touch over the years. And
nice.
It's been good.
So how do we scale? Let's stay with the lawn care company, right? And then I want to get into kind of what's still running and then into life insurance because all of it's impressive. But this, I did lawn care, but it's like I cut people's like grass on my street. There's no way in hell I was paying for Hanover College with my lawn care company. That's for sure. Dude, what was that, and how did you scale that door to door?
Dude, I mean, I was 12, so I definitely didn't. There was no grandmaster plan in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I remember going to this. I was 12, dude. I walked down the street, and there was this print shop that I'd probably passed by 1,000 times, and I'd never had any interest in going in. So I walk into this print shop, and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm trying to start a company where I can cut people's grass. Can you help me create a flyer? And dude, I can close my eyes right now, and I'm 31, so this was 19 years ago. And I could remember this flyer. I could literally sketch it for you. And it was this little green half-page flyer. It had like this like old school like clip art like lawnmower on it.
Yep.
And it was JB's Lawn Care.
Clip art.
Yeah, my number. And dude, I grew up in Philadelphia, like downtown Philly, urban jungle. And dude, there was this brand new neighborhood that they had just built. It was called the Reserves at Packer Park. And it was right down the street from Lincoln Financial Field, where the Eagles play. And the NovaCare Center is where the Eagles practice. And so they were putting up these houses starting at like $500,000, which back then was a lot more than it is today.
Right.
And I was like, man, if I could, this was like the first neighborhood in like Philly where I grew up where there was going to be grass. So I was like, dude, this is crazy. If I can go get a few of these accounts, I'll make some extra cash. Well, dude, I freaking just knocked on every door in that neighborhood like 5 times. I wanted to meet everybody personally, gave them all a flyer, and bro, just word of mouth and whatever. I mean, dude, I was making stupid money for a 12-year-old, and I saved all of it, bro. I didn't spend anything. I remember like I'd be like, my dad helped me, so my dad would help a little bit here and there. I was the lawnmower guy, and he was the weed whacker dude.
Yep.
And we became like I then renamed it JB squared because he's still Basso senior, I'm junior. Now I got JB3. And dude, I just remember I got lucky, and a couple of the Eagles players and a couple of the Eagles coaches hired me.
Oh, wow.
And I'm a huge Eagles fan. Like, bro, I don't miss a game for anything, man. And like, this was like, you talk about street cred. Oh my God, bro. They would take me into the NovaCare Center. I got to meet the whole team. They would give me tickets. Like, it was cool. And, I haven't thought about a lot of this in a long time, Joe. So,
well, hey, that's the point of it, man. And that's why I love starting there, right? Because for a lot of us too, we don't even realize when that kickstart actually was, right? And so, and it's cool to see the varying ages, where it's like kind of like mine. I started maybe with lawn, but then I was doing like this farmer's market, right? And it's really how I got my salesmanship of, hey, free samples of pulled pork these days. It's not often you get free, right? And because I knew we sold it by the pound in the back, but that like I was selling pulled pork it's like a North Carolina style, right? But all of that and how that translates into really our entrepreneurial spirit. It's so cool to hear that. And I love that. So what did that propel you into? So obviously you go to school, you think you're going to be a pastor. What was that shift? The shift from, hey, you know what, and did you graduate Bible college or did we?
Yeah,
okay.
I did. Yeah. I ended up, I wasn't in love with college. So, but I've never quit anything. So I didn't know how to quit. I wanted to, but I didn't know how. So I was like, well, if I'm not going to quit, let me get out of here as soon as I can. So I got my 4-year degree in 3 years and was ready to roll. But dude, I'll never forget, because it actually does relate. I remember I was like 16 and my twin sister got a job working at this little Italian, coffee house and chocolate store in the Italian market, which is on South Street in Philadelphia, if you guys know where that is. And if you don't, you got to go. It's still there. It's been there for like 150 years. It's amazing. If you ever go to Philly, go to the Italian market. There's a plug for Anthony's Italian Coffee Shop.
There you go.
Coffee, you're ever gonna drink. Tony, I know you don't drink coffee anymore, but bro, make an exception. It's gonna change your life. But anyway, I remember back then, I forget what the minimum wage was, but it was under $6 an hour. And obviously it was the winter time. And so grass was dead. Not a lot of snow in Philly. So, I would go shovel snow and plow snow whenever there was snow, but it was rare. So I got a job working at this chocolate house. And bro, very similar to what you said. I was standing outside in the cold with like truffles, and I'm giving away like free samples to get people in the store. I remember like my first paycheck, and I'm looking at it, and I worked like 20 hours that week, and I'm like, bro, I make this in an hour.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never like, this sucks. Like, I don't ever want to have an hourly job ever again, man. And so I remember when I went to college, what was I going to do? Just like go to school and party? Like,
right.
That wasn't me. For those
probably
of you
not at that kind of school either. I mean, I don't know.
School number one, and
y'all got a lot of wine.
I'm not wired that way. So I go to get a job, and I remember I remember everyone I knew was getting like hourly jobs because it was safe and secure, and I understood that. I have nothing against the people that are W-2 employees. More power to you if you like an hourly, secure position. But I remember I applied in one day to like 3 different jobs. 2 of them were hourly just for the heck of it, and one was a straight commission sales job at this marketing firm in Chicago. And we all know marketing companies. Right. They hire you. So
and your family and your friends.
Shocker, I got a call for an interview, and shocker, they offered me the job. And I remember thinking, all right, well, door to door in Chicago in the winter, this is not going to be fun. But if I can figure this out, like it was cool knocking on some doors, cute 12-year-old with a little flyer. I'm sure that was pretty easy. I wasn't really hard closing anybody, but this is a big boy door-to-door job. Can I figure this out? And being as transparent and vulnerable as I can, dude, I was awful. I tell this story occasionally now, but dude, I was literally there was a good number of sales reps there. I was the last one. I was at the bottom of the list literally for 12 weeks in a row.
Wow.
12 weeks straight. And I, again, should have, like, if I was a normal human, I would have quit. Because I'm out there freezing my butt off. My very first week, there was, I think, 14 or 15 inches of snow. Like, it was misery. It was miserable. And my mom and dad were like, dude, like, we know you don't like to quit, but this probably just isn't for you. Like everybody. And I'm like, no, I've got to figure this out. Best decision of my life was not quitting that job, because I figured out how to sell something that no one necessarily wanted. And
what was it? What were you selling?
Bro, you're not going to believe it if I tell you, because this was 2009. I was selling newspaper subscriptions for the Chicago Sun-Times.
Okay.
And, bro, that was a trip. I ended up doing that for 5 years and running sales teams. I fell in love with it, man. I just fell in love with team building. That's when I learned the art of team building. I learned the word override for the first time. I fell in love with that word pretty quick. And the company was great. My boss was great. If Jim Slavo ever hears this, Jim Slavo, I owe a lot to that man. He taught me about everything that I know about people, how to deal with people, how to treat people right, how to manage people. And awesome, man. Yeah, man, I went to college to study theology, and I ended up falling in love with team building.
Running a marketing sales team. And that's okay. So I hope, and I want Tony to kind of tune in or tap in on this too, because I feel like y'all have a very similar backstory and just kind of how your first teams that you were building. And I'm not sure if you've heard Tony's story on just what he was doing door to door, but I hope any agent heard that too. Like 12 weeks at the bottom of just bottom of the totem pole, man. And then it's like, but I'm not going to give up. And that's kind of like that image, where the guy's striking, right? And he's just one freaking strike away from hitting gold, and he gives up, right? And so, I hope y'all got that, because I definitely did. That's freaking kudos to you, man. I know that, like you said, any normal people, but hey, we're in insurance, y'all. We ain't freaking normal, all right?
That's right.
Yeah. But how much did Tony, learn in his, and just that sales building and everything you're doing now, Tony, I'm sure you probably resonate with that.
Yeah, quite a bit. And then the irony of it in some way is that you were studying theology, right? And wanted to be a pastor, and you came into team building like that. They're actually not that far apart.
That's a good point.
You're still guiding a flock, right? You're still taking care of people. You're still looking at them. You're still building a following, the same thing a pastor would do, just
Amen.
in different. Now, instead of out there preaching the gospel, they're selling newspapers or whatever it is that they're doing. They're still providing value. It's still a lot of similarities in that way when it comes down to people, right?
Amen. I like it, Tony.
Yep. So where do we go from there? Right. So I love hearing all your shifts, because you got some hard, like, okay, so you're doing that. Obviously, if you're doing it for 5 years, you're not making horrible money. Right. And you have a really great boss, a great job. What's made you step out to do kind of the next company, right? And that next step in the timeline.
Yeah. I want to make it clear, because I wasn't making bad money. I wasn't making great money either. Like, how much money was there in selling newspapers in 2010, 2011, 2012, right?
Right.
But for me, at that point, it was on autopilot. I'm one of those people, man. It really was about the people. I had a great team. I loved it. I was probably making at that point $80,000, $85,000, $90,000 a year. But again, I was 18, 19, 20. Like, I didn't know. And I think this is a good transition into what came next, because it was your vehicle will determine how far you go. like you could be the most talented individual. You could be working your absolute butt off. If you're in the wrong vehicle, bro, you're capped.
Right.
You're absolutely capped. I've made the point before, like, bro, you could have a NASCAR driver driving a Camry, or you could have me, a below average driver, in a Lamborghini.
Right.
I'm going to win the race.
Right.
It's the vehicle. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I had this epiphany, like, all right, if I've learned all these transferable skills, and a lot of it was learned. Let me make them, like, it drives me crazy when I hear people say, oh man, some people are born with it. Like, are some of us naturally extroverted? Yeah. Is that helpful? Yes. But can you learn a lot of the skills that make this business run, or really any business run? Yes, I really believe you can. So I had spent all that time learning those skills, and it was, is there something out there where I could essentially do the exact same thing that I'm doing now, except earn double, triple, quadruple, and so on and so forth, what I'm currently making in a different vehicle? So then it became trying to find that vehicle. And I graduated. I got married very young. I was 22. My wife was 20. So we got married very young, as most evangelicals do. And I got a job in doing the only thing that I knew, door-to-door sales. I worked for a company called Time Warner Cable before they ended up selling to Spectrum. And, that's when I realized, all right, not the right vehicle, but wow, these skills are transferable. My experience in my first 12 weeks there was much different,
right,
than my first door-to-door job. I was working maybe 15, 20 hours a week. I was the number one rep in the Midwest. And I was like, holy crap, like, these skills are transferable. So then it was, I brought this kid in, or I didn't hire him. Time Warner hired him, asked me to train him. And I'm not going to name his name in case he ever listens to this, but he was the worst door-to-door rep I've ever trained in my life. He was horrible. And he quit after like 2 or 3 weeks, and he should have. He there was no problem.
Different vehicle, man. Find another one.
Find the right vehicle for you.
Yeah.
But he called me back about a month later, and he's like, yo, I started working for this eco technologies company. He's like, and bro, I'm making a couple grand a week. He's like, and I'm not very good. I think you could really do well with this. And so, I didn't just quit on the spot, but I did my homework, talked to the owner of that company, ended up making the switch. And I found this new genre of business in the ecotech space, which, insulation, water filtration, air filtration, off the grid solar, anything that can make your home more energy efficient, save you some money on the utility bills. And so I worked for this company for about a year and a half, and I found a new set of skills. because it was, hey, travel around. I was living in Ohio at the time, working as a youth pastor. And it was travel around the state of Ohio, 3 nights a week, go to high-end steakhouses and deliver sales presentations to like well-to-do homeowners. So I did 6 dinners a week, 2 dinners a night, 3 nights a week. And you know, I'll say leveled up, right? And I think that's what it is when you're young and you're trying to level up. And if I could do it all over again, this would be a good tip for anybody listening in. Timing is everything, right? If I could do it over again, I would have looked for different vehicles faster. That's the only thing that I would change. That's the only thing that I would change. I think that there is an incubation period where you have to be in a place long enough to really evolve those skills.
Yep.
But once you've kind of capped out, you have to find the opportunity that's uncapped. I think that's the money. Find the uncapped opportunity. I was capped there. I figured that out pretty fast, much faster than my previous 2. Yep. And I started my own company back in 2015, me and my business partner. I'm a 50% owner of that company. And
business partner is the business partner the guy that called you, or is that guy just long gone and he just kind of showed you the vehicle? Yeah.
The vehicle.
So right on, man. Give me the keys.
Right. But we started that in 2015, and man, God really blessed. That was my first official business that I started, hardcore business, and we were in 17 states in our first, I think, 14 or 16 months. Just exploded. And awesome. Yeah, man, I did that, eat, sleep, breathe that thing until the pandemic. And the pandemic changed a lot of things for me and my family.
Right. And that's, I mean, gosh, I think let's go back just a smidge here too, because I think, you know, in hindsight, we would always change things, right? And that's kind of the purpose of trying to interview, especially folks like yourself, everybody that we bring on here, even myself and Tony, is in hindsight, man, if I only knew what I do today, right? But I think there is so much power in our testimony too, that like we're talking about vehicles, and it's so funny because one of the best engagement posts on Facebook, right? It's hilarious, is what was your first vehicle? We never forget our first vehicle, right? I'll never forget trying to sell pieces of gum in the classroom for 25 cents a pop, or asking for free samples of pulled pork and doing lemon shake-ups, just like how you wouldn't, right? Selling the newspapers or cutting lawns and all that stuff. But yeah, I hope y'all are hearing that. Like the reason we're saying that, because in hindsight, my Lord, and I've been in almost 10 years on this thing, which Joe, you've been in how long on the life side? Like 2 years?
Like, yeah, 22 months.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay. So let's get into that, because you're doing some insane things. Yeah. You're cool to share anything team numbers wise or whatever. So let's kind of get into that. So obviously COVID pandemic hits, right? We've got to pivot. It's one of my favorite words, is we don't, fall back. It's like, we just got to pivot, right? So let's take us through that.
Yeah. I got a call. Well, back up. March 2020. I would say worst week of my life when the pandemic hit, simply because I had to call dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people and either furlough, lay them off, etc.
Right.
And I know everybody personally in my business at the time, so it was difficult, and no one knew what was going on. I knew this. If you all could put yourself back in that week, you're hearing all kinds of crazy things.
Right.
And you don't know what's real, what's not, how scary this is, how dangerous this is. And that business, we were doing restaurant, we call them lunch and learns, dozens of them a week. So we're in front of thousands of people every week. And then we're in hundreds of homes every week, like in people's homes.
And just
not anymore.
Not anymore. So it was like, all right, guys, for right now, until we learn more, we have to just cease operations for a few weeks and see how this pans out. If anybody has ever run a good sized company with, 100+ employees and different departments and everything like that, it's kind of like you've got this steamship that's moving, and you have to come to a screeching halt. It's not pretty.
Tough. Right.
It's not pretty. And then the idea of getting that ship back moving, getting everybody back on board. It was 5 full years of blood, sweat, and tears. In the entrepreneur's mind, we all go to worst case scenario when something like this happens. Now we then bounce back and get to best case scenario, and then we find what reality is going to be. But you're thinking in that moment, holy smokes, like everything's going to evaporate. And so as the Lord would have it, now, hindsight being 2020, I think the Lord was putting me in a place where I needed to be humbled a little bit, right? Because all had been good. It'd been 5 years of blessing. And I think we all, my pastor said something to me on Sunday night. He said something that was really interesting. He said, hey, man, he goes, and we talk about pride a lot. The idea of pride being the root of most sins and et cetera, et cetera. And he goes, pride is simply ceasing to rely on God in your daily life, in your daily decisions. And I'd never really thought about pride in that way. But he goes, pride is when you start to think that you got this. And man, oh man, that hit hard.
And life can like that, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yep. And so I'm thinking that through now going back, I think God was getting my attention in 2020. And then out of nowhere, I get a phone call from my buddy Gabe Erickson, who I hadn't talked to in 8 years. We had worked together. I had hired him and trained him selling newspapers back in college.
Wow. Full circle. First vehicle. All right.
Full circle. And he goes, hey man, I just started working with this company, Family First Life, and it's crazy. I was like, well, what do you mean crazy? And he starts sending me screenshots of what he's like making every week. And I'm like, holy crap. I was like, bro, how many agents do you have under you? And he's like, this is just me selling. I was like, Gabe, you're not that good. Like, how are you making that kind of money, dude? Like, is this legal? Like, is this like, what are you actually selling? And bro, it was
insurance.
Legit. And I this is me. And this is, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it is what it is. I was like, bro, can you hop on a flight tonight? I was like, tonight, I will buy your flight right now. Like, come into my office. I want to meet with you tomorrow. Like, I got to know more. My dude did it. He got on a flight like 8 hours later. He spent 2 days with me in Richmond, Virginia. I asked him 1,000 questions. I was really trying to piece together. Obviously, I was not just interested in, how much could I make if I was going to sell. At this point, I'm fully immersed
trying to build a team.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, how can I build a team and how can I monetize it? And how could I scale it really, really quickly? Right. And bro, it just checked every box. Like I kept looking for like the plug. Like I kept waiting for the bottom to fall out. Like where's the catch? Where's the hook here? There wasn't a catch. The catch was you got to work your butt off. And if you work your butt off, you can make a ton of money in this industry. Like that was the catch where the catch is in every industry.
And isn't it funny that that's the catch? It's like, it's not even a catch, right? I mean, it's been so standardized almost to that where people are like, oh man, I got to work that hard. It's like, well, that's not a catch, man. Like, right.
So that was it, man. Once I kind of wrapped my mind around it, I got my license like a month later. Speaking of the Titanic, we decided to, bring everybody back. I already kind of alluded to that was quite an undertaking to get that ship back moving with my other company. Right. It took several months. It fell right at the right time for me to go to our national convention in February of 2021. Okay. I sat at our national convention that year. And I was like, all right, I'm convinced. This wasn't just Gabe telling me about it. There were hundreds of people that were winning, hundreds around the country, different backgrounds, different experience level, which, by the way, is more impressive to me. I like watching, like, dude, I can talk to you two, and of course you're going to be successful. You're both crazy sharp. You're both very intelligent.
It's a Joe thing, man. I don't know about Tony, but I'm playing.
If I meet the two of you and find out that y'all are killing it, I'm like, well, that makes sense. But when you meet people and you see them and you're like, wow, they're making $300-400 grand a year, 500 grand a year. All right, I'm in. I'm in. Yep. So like that was impressive.
Yeah, I can't even tie a tie.
I know, for real.
He's making 500 grand. Like, damn.
Like, holy really? With those shoes? No, I'm just kidding. But and that was it, man. I put up ads on Indeed.
So maybe talk a little bit about how because 22 months, how many agents do you have with you now?
Like 280.
280. Okay. Obviously, y'all's numbers. We'll get to the numbers here in a second, but I want to, like, what were you using for recruiting? Obviously, okay, so you're saying ads, right? Like maybe give a couple tips to somebody who is in that building mode, right? They feel like they've got their infrastructure, they're ready for the growth. What are maybe one or two things? Because I think, there are people that have built, but it's a totally different space and environment that we're building in right now, right? Just with all the virtual, social media, all that. Like, what have you done to grow, and not just grow a team? There's one thing to throw a bunch of people at a wall and see who sticks. I think like every single person I've met from your team, dude, they're freaking stone cold killers, right? And they're good people. How do you do that? Obviously, okay, so warm market, I would assume from college, a little bit of that, but
warm market is huge. Okay. Like we have to start there because warm market for everyone is going to be their number one recruiting source in their first 12 months. Like eventually you tap out your warm market, but for your first 12 months, holy smokes, man. If you're not aggressively sharing the opportunity, and I'm not talking about like just Facebook posts.
Right.
Dude, I bought more meals for more people.
Right.
And for me, it was just real simple. If I hadn't talked to Tony in a little while, I don't play the text game, the DM game. I'm calling Tony, and I'm not going to leave a voicemail. I'm just going to call him until he answers me because he's going to answer eventually. Or
why is Joe calling me so many times?
Is this a mistake? And literally, like I remember, like people were like, "Hey, did you mean to call me?" I'm like, "Yeah,
something
Tony,
wrong?
Of course I meant to call you, bro. Of course, man. How you been?" And I'm like, "Yo, Tony, dude, I just found this really cool, like, started this new business, really cool opportunity, bro. I would love to share it with you, but I don't want to do it over the phone because it's a big enough deal, right? I want to make sure I do it justice. Can I buy you lunch next week? What does your week look like, bro?" And that was how I attacked my warm market, like nonstop, nonstop. Why? Because I really believed in it, right? Like I saw like my first 2 or 3 people that I brought in, my dad, my sister, and my mother-in-law. All 3 of them are still killing it in this industry.
Right.
So awesome. It was like I had proof of concept that the average person could come in and kill it. So once I saw that and I saw how easy it was, I say easy, I don't mean there's not a lot of it's a ton of hard work.
Just work.
The people that are
easy
working
process.
Very easy process. Very, very easy process. I think the big thing for me was when I figured out the lead game. Like you could buy good quality leads and essentially write as much business as you want. I was like, you're telling me I knocked on all those doors? I knocked on thousands of doors a month and I was the lead generator and we could have had a lead program like this where I could just go talk to already interested buyers? You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. So like that was huge. And then, dude, once you kind of put it this way, let me back up. Your warm market is incredible. Their warm market is even better. True. So to have a really good strategy on how to replicate yourself in the people that you're bringing in your first layer, and then to get into their first layer. I mean, dude, that's people ask all the time, is this a multi-level marketing deal? Absolutely not. The hallmark of an MLM is that everyone in the MLM has to buy the product in order to sell the product.
Right.
We don't do that. That's crazy. We don't do that. Also, hallmark number 2 of an MLM, you have to recruit. Nobody has to recruit. You can go sell as much life insurance as you want or whatever type of insurance you're selling and go make a ton of money and never recruit a single person.
Right.
Right.
And live good. I'll tell you.
Live real good.
Right.
However, I do think we run on what I call an MLM chassis. We're much different than an MLM, but we're an MLM chassis. And it's a great thing. because there's great aspects to MLMs. There's also a ton of negative. What we did, we took out all the negative, and we kind of used the MLM chassis, which I freaking love. Never knew how good it was, and now I love it. Because if we can get really good at replicating ourselves, the big difference is at every layer, everybody's making money, like real money.
Right.
And
right.
That's incredible.
So what's our record month? What's your record month, and then what are you probably doing on average per month?
Yeah, dude, we missed 3 million by 7,000. We hit $2,993,000.
Damn.
If I had known it was going to be that close, bro, I would have gone and sold an IUL to anybody. I would have bought one myself to hit that. But, so that was 2 months ago. We've been trailing right under 3 million. We're going to break past it here, hopefully this month.
Per month, you're saying?
Yeah, per month. So,
jeez,
dude, it's good. We started off the year. I think January we issued 1.2 million. So we've had a great year.
That's awesome.
And our goal, obviously, we're going to double in 2023 at a bare minimum. So that's the thing, dude. It's great, and I appreciate you guys acting like it's a big deal. The truth is, it's really
dude. I just wrote down on my goals journal this morning though. I'm gonna net 1 million. Redwood's Life Division will net 1 million in 2023. I told John that because I saw him say. I was like, shit, man, he's doing that. I was like, man, I need to change my goal, dude. I was like, shoot, because I mean, it's crazy because coming from a PNC, and there's a lot of PNC folks in here where it's like, dude, I don't get why PNC, like why we're not all trying to do the same things, right? Like there's a reason that the PNC is still PNC. There's a lot of money to be had, right? And again, it's not that complicated of a process. It's just a different lane. And for the whole point of this group is let's freaking unite. Like how can you hear somebody who's been in for 22 months, right? Who has gone through a lot of his testimonies, a lot of what we've gone through ourselves, yet we don't think it's possible. Right. And now I'm not saying, dude, life is probably the hardest thing I've been trying to figure out for the past, I can't tell you how many months, because it's unfamiliar. But hey, I go 12 weeks and I freaking suck. Right. Like, what if I'm right there? Right. What if I go 3 months or 4 months and I just suck at it? But you can only listen to so many people's testimonies and again, the proof of concept before you're like, dude, if Joe can do this, right, then I can too. And that's why I love, Wetmore says that, like, I'm seeing all these guys, like, if they can do it like I can too, I might just have to work harder at it, right? Or things like that. 100%. So
100%. If you ask me, the passion that I can too is freaking huge. B, being in an environment where everybody is constantly trying to raise the bar is probably the best type of environment for an entrepreneur. I think back now and I'm like, why did I not grow my other company bigger, faster? Because we were kind of like in that small niche that we were in, we were the biggest in the country. And we got lazy. I'm just being really honest. Like we weren't looking around trying to compete with other people that were outpacing us.
Right.
The best thing that happened to me personally, as a business owner, an entrepreneur, is getting around people that were way better than me and were outpacing me and working harder than me. Because, dude, I really believe it. And this isn't just for me. This is for everybody listening. Dude, we're all but freaking flesh and bone. Some people work a lot harder than others. But if so-and-so can do it, so can I. So when I came in, there was a guy that was freaking leading the charge at the IMO that we're with. And he was the first person to ever get to $1 million a month issued in less than a year. And I was like, well, crap, that's pretty impressive. Like, but if he could do that, can I do 2 million in 18 months?
Come on.
Right? Like, could I do 3 million in less than 24? He just proved that it could be done. If he could do $1 million in 12, why couldn't someone do 2 million in 18? Right? So I think this just goes back to human nature. Most people like being comfortable. They hate that discomfort out of their comfort zone. We all know this is common sense at this point. It's almost like it's ingrained in us. We only grow outside of our comfort zone. The best thing that an entrepreneur can do is live outside of their comfort zone. Just like burn the comfort zone down. It doesn't even exist anymore. And dude, eventually the odd thing is you actually do find comfort outside of your comfort zone.
Right.
It just becomes your norm. And I think for our team, we've done that really well. And I take none of the credit. I'm just part of the team. We all are we meet every week and it's like, all right, what did we suck at this week? How can we pivot to be better at it?
Right.
What are we doing well? How can we do that 10% better? And so we're constantly looking around because, dude, like we might do 2 out of 10 things really well. And then the other 8, like everybody's crushing us. So it's like, all right, well, they're doing that, like telesales, for instance.
Right.
January of this year, my agency was like 95% in person, 5% virtual. And I was a little bit resistant to it. And then I was like, you know what, dude? Some of these other groups, they're like 100% telesales and they're killing it. Now our group is like 50-50.
Yeah.
Right.
Love it.
So being able to pivot with the market and learn from everybody else that's leading the charge, that's the game. And you know, to full circle this thing, go back to what my pastor said, pride is your number one enemy as an entrepreneur.
Right. Right.
It really is. Like, don't get me wrong. Do we want to be confident in what we're doing? Absolutely. But the second that I think I've got this figured out, I've got this better than everybody else, dude, I'm done. Because the market is constantly evolving. There's always a new kid on the block coming to take your cheddar, coming to take your cheese. I learned a long time ago, bro, I'm not gonna die on a hill with old habits. Forget it. Bro, my business 2 years from now, it won't be recognizable to what it is today. Now, dude, blocking and tackling is blocking and tackling. That's never going to change. But the freaking playbook, it probably is going to change every 6 to 12 months. Embrace that, learn to love it, and you're going to continue to scale.
Right. Right. It's freaking good, man. I mean,
playbook
I think
has to change because the defense always changes constantly, right? Our environment is constantly adapting, changing. COVID, new regulation. I mean, if you look at, especially if you look at my world and the Medicare world,
oh my God,
there's been so much change going on in the last few years from COVID down. You know,
you don't have a choice.
New regulations are coming, so yeah, we don't have a choice. You constantly have to evolve your playbook, or you're definitely getting left on the sidelines.
Right. Right. Well, and I think what goes hand in hand with that pride piece, right, is just the ego, right? Is like just, you know, getting rid of, just totally wiping that out. Like you said, like burn the ships, man. Because I think, you know, again, you have that, like what you said, that prideful, that ego, that thing about you where, hey, man, I got this thing. And there's a difference between having something that's working versus thinking you got it. Hey, I know it all, right? It's like, well, hey, if it's working, right. But I promise you, there's always something that could improve. Like when you said hey, you know what, you might be doing those 2 things really good, but because that's doing really good, now you have a little bit more time to work on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right?
Well,
yeah, man. Gosh, dude, Joe, you brought the freaking heat this morning, my man. This is freaking baller. I didn't know all that about your backstory and everything.
Yeah, man.
I want to ask something real quick, if y'all don't mind, just to kind of, because I love the statement that pride is your enemy, right? When you think you got this and you believe I got all this, I got all the answers, I'm going to do this, right? And that's when pride comes in and creates the enemy. Where do we find the balance between that and doubt? I don't know if I can do this. I'm not sure if I got this. I know I need to go ask more, right? I need to learn more. I need to put, you know, God at the wheel or whatever it might be. But where do we find that balance? Like, what's the trick, if there is a trick, and not being too humble, where I'm like, I'll never get it done because I get stuck in analysis paralysis and fear, versus I got this, because there is a certain amount of belief that we have to have. Like, I got what it takes. I'm going to go out there and do this. Where do we find that happy medium, do you think?
For me, it's, you know, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1.
Oh, take us to church. Come on.
Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It's faith. I don't have to have faith in me. Now, do I have to have some self-confidence? Well, of course, man. But there's a difference between confidence and pride, right? I have to have faith in the systems and processes and the things that I see that are working. Meaning, when I came into the life insurance industry, I didn't have to figure it all out, dude. I had guys like John Wetmore, Mark Mead, Sean Mike that have already proven The basics are the basics, and the basics work for everybody. So I don't have to go, I need proof of concept because I'm not sure if this – dude, 17,000 agents all doing really well with the same blocking and tackling. So I can have confidence in that initial, bro, like a fly route is a fly route, right? A button hook is a button hook. Like I don't need to go prove all of that works because there's enough proof already. Let me start there, right? Have a ton of confidence in that. I don't need to doubt the system works. When I start to think, on the other hand, bro, I'm the best receiver in the NFL. That's a much different story.
Right.
It's a much different story. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, Antonio Brown.
Oh, boy. We all know what the Bible says about that, right? What happens to the prideful? So I think, dude, you have to balance that idea of faith. I have to have faith. And I think, too, I didn't say this. The best part about this industry, it's a copycat industry, right? Like, Tony, I don't know much about what you do. I know the life side really well now because I've been fully immersed in it for almost 2 years. But I don't know a whole lot about what you're doing. If I was going to start out in your industry tomorrow, bro, I wouldn't go read a book. I would call you and I'd be like, hey, Tony, could I come live with you for 7 days, please? I literally follow. And, bro, that's what I did in life insurance, by the way. I called the number one producer from the year prior with, I guess he was like number 3 producer company-wide, but number 1 with our main carrier. He had written like $700,000 in issued premium the year prior with America.
Okay.
And he was notorious for like not training people personally. And I was like, yo, bro, I will pay for my flight. I will get my own rental car. I will buy you dinner. Could I follow you in the field for 2 days? I'm a visual learner. I need to watch what you're doing. And bro, he said yes. Bro, I was on a flight 2 days later. I stopped whatever else I was doing in the world. And I said, for 2 days, forget what else I've done. Forget what else I know. You're the expert. You killed it last year. Can I please just learn from you? Bro, I took a notepad. I took pages of notes. It's a copycat industry. Put your ego aside. Put your pride aside. Go learn from someone that's already winning. Have faith in their system and process, not in your own talent and skill. And that's how you take leaps ahead. Leaps ahead.
And hey, the opportunity ain't just always going to come to you either, right? I think a lot of what you've said is, hey, I am seeking it out, right? You guys have heard, a lot of our listeners have heard me and Tony talk about this, is that, man, it's a two-way street. It takes two to dance, right? Where it's like, man, you might see all of this, or like, hey, you seek out this help and then they give you the plan, or hey, you got to hop on a plane in 2 days if you really are serious about this. And then what's the catch? It's like, oh man, like that's a lot of work. It's like, how is that a catch? It's so good.
It cracks me up because it's like, now I tell that story a lot because to me, I wish more people would do that. But I love that, Alex. That's exactly right, dude. If I'm the smartest person in the room, bro, I'm screwed. Like I'm screwed. I don't want to be the smartest person in any room ever. But
if you're in a poker room, it's a good thing. That's the only time it's good. Other than that, it's not good.
I don't play poker, Tony. I'm never smart. But people are like, yo, but it costs you how much to go to Chicago from New Jersey? I was like, bro, it cost me probably $1,500 for those 2 days. Nice hotel, nice rental car, round trip flights, meals. Yeah, dude, I've made multiple 7 figures in the last 2 years. Was that a worthwhile investment?
Yep.
I think it was.
Definitely not an expense.
Not an expense. It was an investment. So I think if more people did that, bro, they would break the chains and break through the glass ceilings that have been holding them back. But, speaking of gambling analogies, scared money don't make no money, Tony. You know that's the truth.
Come on.
I know that. No gamble, no future.
Hey, there you go, baby.
I love it, man.
Good stuff, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time, man. Really appreciate it. Really have been, appreciative of just getting to know you in the past couple of weeks. I know it's only been a couple times, but thank you again for taking the time, dude. This was freaking awesome. I really appreciate it, man.
I love you guys, man, and I'm sure we'll end up doing something cool together at some point because that's what sharp entrepreneurs do.
Hey,
but
we're disrupting, baby. We're disrupting.
Y'all are great. Thanks for having me.
Definitely, man. It's a pleasure to have you on. And again, it was great meeting you in San Antonio. So I look forward to the opportunity to cross your path again and spend more time together and collaborate some more. So thank you. What's next on your horizon other than, $3 million a month or wherever you're going, doubling over, like you said, beyond that, like what's in Joe Basso's future?
What I'm looking at let me back up. 2021, we got our end of year conversion rate. Which in life insurance conversion rate is if we contract this many agents, how many of them get to 3 sales? We grew like crazy because we were a recruiting machine, but our conversion rate was horrible. Our conversion rate was 12% for 2021, which, by the way, I think industry wide, the conversion rate I think is at 5.5%, 6%.
Wow.
Sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah. So I say this if you're listening in because this is the decision that you have to make as an entrepreneur. I could have looked at it and said, my team could have looked at it and said, oh, we're double the national average. We're doing well. I almost threw up when I saw our conversion rate. Literally, it was like, holy crap. Like, this is horrible. So our goal coming in, we put together a full-on business plan. I'll send you guys the slides and you'll see the date on it.
Hell yeah. Dope.
January of 22 was like, can we get to 50% conversion rate in 2022? We missed our goal. We just got our 2022 numbers up until the first week of December. We landed at 49.25. So
wow.
49% conversion rate this year. So that was our goal this year. Our goal for 2023, we want our average producer, our average net income for the year to double. So that's what we're working on. So this year, it's all about agents' profitability.
Yep.
And we're going to be talking about profitability. Lead flow plus workflow equals cash flow. So we're going to just literally break it down, one-on-one mentorship. This is the year of 320 Life Solutions, our average agent doubling their net income.
Come on. Look, putting it out there in the world, baby. I love it.
I'd like to point out 2 not so obvious things to some folks out there in what you just said. He said 2 things. He said he wants to increase the conversion rate, right? Which means you're getting more agents sell more policies in a shorter period of time. And the number 2, you're doubling their income, right? Everything that you talk about is what I can do for my team, right? Which shows the nature of a great team builder, especially in this business, because if you can help them get what they want, you will always get what you want, right? That's how our business works. So if you weren't catching that, if you weren't paying close attention, you're out there trying to build a team. If you don't think like that, like how can I get the guys down here more money? How can I bring them up? How can I get them making money faster? And how can I get them making more money? That is a true team builder. So I love to hear you say that. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's a great question.
Yeah, brother.
All right, Mr. Merwin, you closing us out, good sir?
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Y'all know what's up, man. It's a cold Wednesday, and it's going to get colder tomorrow. So if you're not into telesales, this might be a great time to practice it. Just saying, get you some hot internet out there and break through the cold and just go out there and crush some sales. But it is Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday, 9 a.m. We got another great guest coming next week. Look out for it. Thank y'all for tuning in.
It's
Put
the peak of the week.
Let's finish this week strong.
It's the peak of the week, right? Hey, and there's a difference between pride and confidence, and make sure you guys have some faith in your capabilities. Go out there and crush it. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate you, Joe. Everybody have an amazing rest of the day. Later.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.